Panciera is an undergraduate computer science major at the College of William and Mary. He has recently started sharing his work thanks to the New River Writers Project. He is from Blacksburg, and he thanks his parents for their support. He will be reading to you his prose piece entitled Josie.
Josie. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Allen Ginsberg, Howl. The world is holy, the soul is holy, the skin is holy, the nose is holy, the tongue and cock and hand and asshole holy. Everything is holy, everybody's holy, everywhere is holy, every day is an eternity. Every man's an angel. Allen Ginsberg, footnote to Howl. Josie stumbles in, wet, white, and shivering out of the snowstorm. I grab her arm to balance her, and she's as light as a bird. I lead her into the kitchen and sit her down. I don't have to ask what happened to the money I gave her. Quietly, I sneak over to the fireplace and click on the CD player. I turn the knob just so, coaxing out the gentle vibrations. Doris Day. Let it snow. Oh, the weather outside is frightful. Josie has some destructive habits. For myself, all I touch is light beer. My first encounter with a hard drug user was 6 years ago, long before I met Josie, when I had lunch with an old friend from governor's school. We met at a junkie diner by the interstate. The bumps in the parking lot threatened to give my big sedan a hemorrhage. Inside, a leathery blonde seated us in the corner. The red plastic concealing the cushions of our booth was all but peeling off. You could start to see the yellow-brown sponge beneath. The place stank like fry grease and ashtrays. I like teaching literature, I told him, but I've been doing it for years, and I feel like it isn't getting me anywhere. I swallowed. I'm lonely. Join the club, he said. Everyone's lonely. Husbands with wives and families and kids are lonely. They poke their loved ones with their fingertips to see if they're really there. My wife turns the TV up when I get home at night. That's just how it is. I slumped down into the soft foam of the booth. Well then, how do they handle it? What do they do about it? Shoot, I don't know. Some people drink. Some people go to church. Some people cheat on their wives. Some people build model trains and model cities so big you could live in them. And what do you do? I asked. Cocaine, he said. Who else do I know that's secretly on drugs? I suspected everyone, the homeless people I met when vacation tunneled me through the soft underbelly of big cities, the businesswomen rushing to the bar, the high school students standing on grimy street corners. They all seemed guilty of the most nefarious escapism. They each had their little cues, their disembodied shrugs, sultry looks, and frightened glances. They were strangers, all of them, in the strongest sense of the word. That is, until I met Josie. I first met Josie in the basement of Bella's bar, in the men's room. I was washing my face when she staggered in. She looked at me, cockeyed with accusation, and said, "What are you doing in here?" I led her out to my car and drove her home. She's lucky I was there. A lot of creeps hang out at Bella's. But the fire is so delightful. Josie loves Christmas music. She'd never admit it, but she does. It's our secret. I feel guilty even thinking about telling anyone. I can hear her hacking and coughing in the kitchen. At times like this, there's not much I can do for her. In a few minutes, I'll run a hot bath. I might set out a glass of milk and some sweets, like leaving out cookies and milk for Santa, but without Mom and Dad to take a reassuring bite. The milk always gets left out to warm and curdle as evidence of Josie Santa's rotting gut. Tomorrow, she'll break her fast. She'll eat reluctantly, pained, chewing forever, like a toothless maid sucking on her food to dissolve it. Most of the time, she'll throw up anyway. Whatever noxious stuff is inside her will bubble up in steaming white wisps and make little rivers between my kitchen tile. Patiently, I'll clean the table, plate, and floor. In a few days, she'll start to feel better, stagger into the kitchen expectantly, lean her head on my arm, and sigh with relief. And since we've no place to go. At the school where I work, there's this poster up by the lounge. It's been there since I've been there, I'm sure, but I only started noticing it a few years ago. It's one of those seeing eye pictures. You look at it one way, it's an old crone. But you look at it another, and it's a young girl looking away from you. Now, this is perfectly innocent and fine and harmless, but it bothered me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. When I first met Josie, I was so obsessed with the picture of the crone that I snuck it off the bulletin board, photocopied it, and brought it home to show her. She dismissed it at first. "Oh, it's an old lady with a weird hat. She looks Russian." So, I asked her to look again. I said, "Look very carefully." Her eyes got wide. "Whoa, that's awesome." She lit up. She spent the next 3 hours drawing her own versions of seeing eye pictures. She drew a squirrel that almost looked like a mollusk. The best I could do was an upside-down owl that looked like a stalagmite, so I was impressed. I still see that picture at my school. I still see the crone. I haven't seen the young girl in years. I don't even think about it anymore. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I bought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Quite unconsciously, I've turned the volume all the way up, and the gentle music lifts to a dangerous volume, ear-bursting decibels. Josie can hear it now for certain. That was not my intention. I turned the volume down and tiptoe back to the kitchen. Did she hear? No. She's huddled, protected, all wrapped. She's using her shoulders like earmuffs. I sigh a little. So boring. This part gets so boring sometimes. Pouting, I climb upstairs to run the bath. The faucet is copper gold. Hot water bursts from it like fire from a dragon's mouth. I watch the clouds of steam amble upwards, only to disappear. I used to pick up Josie from school every so often. A few months ago, she called me up while I was at work. Hunched over in my little office, I strained to hear her whisper. "Hello?" "Yes." "This is Josie." The softest whisper. I could barely hear her. "I know. What's up?" "I need you to come get me." "Well, please." "Shouldn't you be in class right now?" "Please." She sounded like a ghost. "Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll be outside." She hung up. I found someone to cover the last class of the day and drove across town. She was waiting outside, bundled up in a jacket and hat. It was late summer. When she came to the door, I could see she was shaking. "Are you all right?" She didn't say anything for a while. I didn't know what was going on, and I was worried, but I didn't want to pry. "Can I stay at your place tonight?" she asked. "Sure." When we got home, she explained to me how she'd met a skinny guy at a party, and how one thing had led to another, and how suddenly in the middle of world history class, she'd felt her skin turning inside out. I didn't know what to say, so I did then what I do now. I ran a hot bath and waited. You never know what's going to happen with Josie. She's a chemistry experiment, a noxious concoction and constant threat of boiling over. Enchanting, but like the lights of an oncoming train. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm, but if you'll really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Back in the kitchen, she's still the shivering, huddled mass, her gangly arms clamped about herself as if they were the only thing holding her together. I wander over, but catch myself and pause before coming any closer. She's wearing a white, sleeveless blouse and dark blue jeans. The thin cotton is soaked with sweat and translucent. I can see the warm curvature of her back, spine, shoulders. Distracted, I use my finger to trace the outline of her back. Her shoulder blades peek out of her pink flesh like budding wings. Josie's a natural disaster. She's all frustration and destruction. Josie is a tornado, whirling bits of house and home, flying pigs, failed school papers, stolen watches, burnt spoons and baking powder, all caught up in the most majestic web of wind, whipping, picking up everything, like flypaper. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbye. But as long as you love me so. Christmas music always calms me down. It's consistent, like me. I'm calm and content, while Josie's whipped up and flooring, a regular snowstorm. And I on the eye of the hurricane, the fire in the heart. Josie will be better soon. Until then, though, she'll be here with me, safe and warm. It's better that way, don't you think? Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.